So over the last few hours, I have been agonizing over these designs that we're about to ship to all 50,000 of our customers. And that's when I realized that despite how much people talk about like, oh, you should build a successful business, there's very few people out there who actually teach you how to literally design a great product that people actually love. Like the very thing that your business sells in order to become successful. And so I figured, why not walk y'all through the current design problems that I'm facing through the lens first of teaching you all of the design principles or mental models that we've used here at Stan to actually build a successful product that people genuinely love. And then once you have that foundational learning, actually walk you through those design problems that I'm currently facing, because number one, I think they're pretty interesting. And then number two, I think they're a really good teaser of the problems that you have ahead of you. All right, so the number one mental model that I think everyone should learn in terms of building a great product is a model called the hooked model. And it's this super clever strategy that's actually the whole reason why Instagram became as successful as it is. And basically the whole theory behind this model is that every great app has one core action. So for Instagram, it was just posting photos. And the clever thing about the hooked model and Instagram in general is that if you think about it, it's a really simple action of posting a photo. But every single time a user, so you take that action of posting a photo, there's actually a concept called a variable reward. And what that is in Instagram terms is think about every time you post a photo, the dopamine, the suspense, the anxiety of how many likes you're gonna get. Kind of like in Vegas when you put a coin into the slot machine, like you don't know what you're gonna get. But the cleverness about the hook model actually doesn't stop there, because once you have that reward, what they say is a really, really good product is that actually that action reward is an investment into your user experience that actually makes your user experience even better. Basically what I mean by that is if you think about every time you post a photo or some content on Instagram now, it actually reinforces your product experience. It makes you more likely to stay on Instagram because you're building out this whole profile of your content, of your identity. And then on top of that, every time you take that action, Instagram as a whole, because it's a network, actually gets better for everyone theoretically. Because if you're posting content on your feed, that means there are more people that can enjoy that content. That also means that you have a chance of growing more followers or getting more views and getting more likes, which also improves your experience. But the thing that makes this hooked model even more clever is that it's actually a loop where it comes full circle, where the first part of the cycle now is actually what they call the trigger. What a trigger is basically some external or internal trigger that reminds you to use this product. So in this case, for Instagram, an external trigger could be something like a push notification letting you know that someone liked your post, which is going to lead you to come back to the platform and be more likely to complete that single action again, which starts the cycle over again and reinforces your product experience, which is posting more content. And that whole model actually brings us to the number one design principle that we try to live by here at Stan, which we call don't make me think. So you might have noticed in that whole story of how Instagram has been so successful, it's actually from a really, really simple single action. And if you think about all of the most successful companies in the world from a tech basis, they're all actually really simple. Like Snapchat, it's really just pressing a single button to send a photo or video. Or Google has built a $1 trillion business off of a single page with a single input box. And this is actually really counterintuitive to a lot of first-time founders and entrepreneurs, the mistake they'll make, which is they think like, oh, you need to like have this feature and all this and all of that and like feature sprawl everywhere. When in reality, the most successful businesses tend to be businesses that find a really, really key problem or key insight and provide a really simple way to solve that. And so how that's applied here at Stan is, if you think about it, when I first started Stan, we were like the 500th link in bio solution out there. We were competing against a bunch of legacy competitors where basically you'd be like, well, why would you ever take a bet on this company? Why would you ever invest in this company? And it's really because of the key insight that I had when I first started, which was when I was using these products, they were all like incredibly complex and super hard to use. Like think about those legacy enterprise software solutions out there that are like these 2000s web apps that are .NET based and really cringy and clunky. Like that's what a lot of people have had to use in order to actually build their business. But for us, the number one rule of product is that simplicity is king. And so the very first version of Stan that I built was just really focused on making this whole business building process simple. Like if you think about the average content creator, the average customer, the average human being nowadays in this short form world, we have the attention span of gnats. And so I'd venture to say, unless you're making one of those Chinese super apps that does really well in the East, in general, a design principle to live by is that simplicity is king. And so one of the tests I actually run my team through all the time when we design product now is something that I actually just call the grandma test. where when I'm reviewing designs, I basically just ask the team, like, could your 70-year-old or 80-year-old grandma actually navigate through this and understand what's going on? But here's the thing. In order to get to simplicity, you actually need one other design principle in your bag, because simplicity is actually mastery hiding in the form of simplicity. And so this is where a bunch of buzzword terms you've probably heard of, like design thinking or human-centric design, come in, which basically just means how empathetic are you? AKA, what is your ability to put yourself in your customer's shoes? But to really make you think about this design principle, I'm actually gonna have you think about the inverse. Basically, I'm gonna give you two experiences here that you've probably had as a customer yourself. And I want you to think about like how you feel. So number one is I'm gonna transport you to TSA, and I'm gonna have you think about the last time you flew United Airlines. Like, you're all cramped up in the middle seat, you're getting nickel and dimed in order to upgrade yourself. The bathroom smells really bad. People are yelling at you and there's loud noises. You're getting treated really poorly. And now I want you to think about the last time you had to call into Comcast in order to get some customer service for your telephone. Like, think about how frustrating it was to just sit on that phone tree waiting to talk to an actual human who did not want to be there whatsoever. And so this is where that concept of design thinking or human-centric design comes into play, where you can assuredly bet that both of those experiences I just talked about did not put the human first in that customer experience, but instead prioritize profits. Because I actually bet if those companies took a design thinking approach to actually solving their customers' problems, they actually might be even more profitable than they are now. And all that process is, when you hear these big buzzwords, is just a couple things. Number one, you start with empathizing as your customer. You just put yourself in your customer's shoes, which then allows you to define what the actual problem and struggle is for your customer, which then allows you to ideate on the best possible solution for that customer. Because once you have that idea, you can then start designing a prototype, which you put in front of your customers, you get their feedback, and then you iterate and you create a loop where you improve your product over and over until it's incredible. Because you guys gotta remember, when I first started Stan, there was no Stan. Like, Stan, the app that now generates millions of dollars of revenue, literally didn't exist. All I had was my own imagination. And because I was my own customer, I got to skip that first step of empathy because I really understood what I myself needed. But then from there, I took my imagination and built a really crummy first version of our app that is super clunky, but we kept iterating over time, and that over a long period of time and a long period of iteration is how we've gotten to where we are today. Now, one thing you'll note about the earliest versions of Stan is that they're much uglier than what Stan looks like today, and that is actually because of one person here, which is our designer, Heewon. So, funny story about Heewon, we actually convinced Heewon to drop out of Cornell at 19 to come join us full time. How has it been since?
No comment.
And so how's it been since?
It's been amazing.
All right, so as much as Heewon's gonna troll me here, he is an absolute weapon in Figma, and he's the reason why Stan's design looks so good. Like our homepage, our current product, everything that looks good about Stan, I'd actually say Heewon design, so.
Sorry, what?
God damn it. So the reason why Heewon and I are cranking today is because we're working on the very next design principle on the list, which is just establishing your look and feel. Where when you start something, you ideally want to be intentional about how do you want to express yourself and show up in this world, aka your design values. Where for us, we actually have a pretty established look at this point. We look up to other brands that have really clean, beautiful aesthetics. So something like Airbnb or Squarespace, where when you imagine just going on Airbnb's website and booking a stay, it all just feels so clean and so satisfying when you click on a button. And that's actually what we're working on today, where the problem we're struggling with at this point is that we've established our look, which is the right amount of professional meets fun, which we think is the right way to show up for our customers who are creators, but we haven't yet streamlined and nailed down our feel. So for example here, Heewon, I'm actually curious, how would you describe Stan's look and feel a year ago?
It's kind of just a spreadsheet.
Yeah, basically Stan, over the last 3 years, we've had to add more and more features in order to meet new customer demand, where no matter how hard you try to keep things simple and easy, you just keep adding this module and this feature, and your app kind of becomes a Frankenstein, where I would actually say the design problem that we're working on around look and feel is really just about how do we smooth out the entire customer experience.
Yeah, it's really about like how you bring in all these different features from different apps and like unify them under one big design system and make it all feel like one big thing.
Totally, because right now it's like, oh, we have an email flows feature or courses feature, and it's all like really clunky, as opposed to like streamlined and like one unified experience. So with that being said, I thought it'd be fun to show everyone some of the work you've done of actually so far some of the problems we've solved in terms of old Stan. We can show some old Stan versus what you've actually created that's a lot more seamless. All right, so what do we have here first?
So this is the old landing page of Stan. So I think it's not bad, definitely.
It's not horrible.
Yeah, I think the main kind of issue here is that there are a lot of things kind of competing for your attention.
Yeah.
Whereas you have like the title, colors, like all the different images, the big button, right, the subtitle and so forth. Although this does kind of convey the message pretty effectively, where like your eyes don't really know where to go. And so we really want to have a landing page that really makes you look at one thing first and then it really conveys the message more strongly.
If you compare that to what you designed here, which I love, by the way, it pops really well. There's so much less you have to focus. You don't know what to look at here versus here. It's so clear. It's like meet your all-in-one creator store, and then you have the visual kind of start to imply everything that Stan has in one place.
So there's one kind of big text, one big color, and then we've kind of combined all the stores into one big kind of graphic. But it combines that we have courses, calendar, downloads, and stuff like that. And so we kind of combine a lot of things that were separate before.
Totally, lovely. And one other thing that I'm laughing at here on this old design is it's not bad, right? It's not horrible. I'm laughing because this is what $40 gets you on Upwork. So I had an Upwork designer randomly, a contractor, do this. It's like not horrible, but it's like a good first starting point from years ago. So
I've been slightly more expensive than that.
All right, what's next? Oh, this is a good one. This is Stan the spreadsheet.
Yeah, so this is kind of the income tab that we had. Where it's kind of like outlines of sales that you've made, how much money you've made, cash out, bank information, stuff like that. And so obviously what this does kind of convey all the information effectively, but it's also basically like a very kind of spreadsheet-like interface. We don't really have a lot of visual cues as to what's important. It's just like, hey, like here's the numbers, here's the facts, and that's pretty much it.
Cool. And so what did you do here? I think it feels pretty obvious, but what did you do here that?
Yes, so the big thing is that we separate like the big visual elements from the more data oriented parts. Right, so obviously add like a very big kind of visual chart, but so instantly you get this sense of like, oh, like my sales are going up a lot these days. Or,
which is a good feeling.
Yeah, going up a lot, flattening, like whatever's going on. And you have like one really big number. Right,
this is because this is your North Star, because this one here, everything looks the same, so your eyes glaze over, as opposed to here, there's a clear visual hierarchy to how you design, right? Because you want to, like our attention spans, we're gnats in terms of our attention spans, so it's about like how do you call to action the number one thing that actually matters.
Yes, exactly. So, whereas here you see like number first, obviously a big number, and then a big chart, but kind of get the sense, and everything else is a little bit below that in the hierarchy. Right, it's much more visually striking as to like what you need to pay attention to.
And the subtle use of color here, one thing that I really love that you always do and that we do in our designs is, if you look here, I feel emotionless. And it's something about the black versus, we're not overwhelming with color here, but that subtle use of a purple chart and then this big, this is kind of like a navy font. It gives me I feel more emotion on this page, despite it being the same numbers, right? Same content being presented. I feel more emotion on this page.
Not every number is just a number. Not every chart is just a chart. Every moment, every little place in the app is a place to kind of insert your brand. Right. Yep. So everything, right? The font, the color, everything should kind of align and make it feel like one world rather than just like a series of numbers just pasted onto a chart.
Beautiful, love it. All right, jeez. This is our old edit. Like this is how you used to build a store. What's wrong here?
So again, right? So all the key information is there. I think the biggest problem here is it doesn't really get a sense of like what corresponds with what, and it doesn't really have a sense of like how unique each element is, right? So right now, obviously, we have like one-on-one coaching, my course, and so forth. We have a basic icon. But what are these? For like instantly horizontal cards to user, they don't really mean anything, right? So like if you look for a while, right, they can figure out that like this corresponds to this in the store. Right, if you click into this, where I added this product. Right now, these are all just like bars in like a spreadsheet like layout, and they don't really have any like emotional meaning to the user.
Got it. So now if we flip to new, so it pops a lot more.
Yes. So there are a few things that are kind of going on here. The number one thing is kind of like the visual correspondence between the cards and the actual store, where you include like the thumbnail image, right, like the header and stuff like that. Right, differentiated the header from the individual products, price, icon, draft status, all of that. Right. So overall, this gives a much more bright and much more direct correspondence between what's on the left side and what's in the phone preview.
Totally, that makes sense. What are we looking at here?
Cool, so now this is the screen where we have themes.
I'm embarrassed. This is the old place where you could pick a theme and start to design your store.
Yes, as you can pick a color for your buttons, like pick a theme for kind of your store. Again, like all the content's there. I think the main thing of this screen is just that it's just visually confusing. And I don't really get
why it's visually confusing specifically because there's so much going on.
Yes, and also like these themes are supposed to be like the pinnacle of our kind of like design language. And I don't really get the sense that like we're showing off anything.
I feel the need to defend myself because this is early Stan. This was like when I first scraped an MVP together. So we've changed a lot since then, which is this is beautiful what Heewon's designed.
Yes, so now this kind of gives more of a feel of a gallery.
Yes, a gallery, yes.
So as if we're actually proud of these designs.
Yeah.
But that's just like a normal, like, it's more than just like a scroll view.
Yeah.
But it actually has like a kind of like 3D kind of feel to it.
You can actually swipe through them. It feels really good.
Yes, yes, like the animations, like the colors, the fonts, everything like that. This feels more like we're highlighting like the important things and not relegating to like some like settings page somewhere.
All right, last one I need to defend myself on. This is the original Stan theme. This is from 3 years ago. This is like the OG thing that I came out with. So this kind of proves to you, this proves to you that your MVP does not need to look good. Because I was like, I live by the rule when you first start, which is if you're not shipping when you're embarrassed, you're shipping too late. So how did we salvage Stan from here and then actually make it a beautiful look and feel?
So I don't think I need to say anything here. I'll just let people see this. I think the big thing is there's more flexibility as to like how they lay out their store.
Yeah.
Right. So like some stores are more similar to the original, right? Like image, name, socials, and the products.
Totally.
But the third theme there, where the spotlight theme, has a very kind of like different layout, where you have like kind of like the photo in the background, in a little spotlight, and then you have the title at the top and so forth. So it's more just like flexibility in layouts, and it all kind of conveys the idea that Stan isn't just another like link in bio, right? It's like a much more customizable, like full-fledged store rather than just like a place to like put your links.
And I think that's beautifully said. Basically, when you think about building your look and feel of your specific application or your product, the intention and care you put into that actually speaks volumes towards like how your product differentiates in the market. Because most link in bios when we first started weren't even this. They were like tiny little, they were just like link blocks. And even, keep in mind guys, it was like 4 years ago, 3 years ago. Like even having photos and buttons like conveyed that this was much more than just a link in bio. Now I think people come to Stan is very much so because they can express themselves and also clearly monetize.
Yes, and you'll notice we've spent a lot more time like on this specific screen rather than other screens, because this is the thing that customers see, and this is the thing that where there's most tied to the reputation of our customers.
Totally.
Although like UI is obviously very important for the actual customers and their fans, this is kind of like the central hub as to where they meet. And so we spend like a lot more time on like these specific fan-facing elements. I mean,
this is the look and feel basically is how people, when they see how they feel about your product, it's so like soft nebulous, but when they see this versus even the old stuff, like you immediately have a different sense of how you would feel about this brand.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and so this is a much more elevated brand. I'm much more likely to purchase from this brand. Also speaks towards hiring people that are way better than you at what you do. Heewon's designs have really up-leveled Stan, so. All right, so I'll stop bothering Heewon now to walk you through the very last design principle, which is learning when in the customer experience you should express yourself. So remember before when we were talking about the design thinking process, I talked a lot about empathizing with your customer's journey, because if you do that really, really well, it unlocks for you this last design principle, which I think is what leads to really, really fantastic products that have that magic moment with users. And specifically what I mean by that is the most powerful moment in a customer's journey with your product is when you're able to combine a really important moment in their journey with a really, really special moment within your product. Because the most powerful product experiences are the ones where you deeply understand your customer's journey and match that with your own self-expression. Because if you think about it, basically this product you're building is actually your art. Like as much as you're serving other people and helping them solve a problem, this is also your own personal opportunity to express yourself. And when I think about the artist journey, it's all about modulating on a spectrum between how much do I cater towards others versus how much do I express myself. And I think business is probably on that latter camp of the spectrum a little bit more than, a Van Gogh and deep self-expression or a Picasso. But think about when you actually apply this artist motif to the business building process, where I'll give you a really tangible example of this at play that actually creates a significantly better business outcome. And that is with a product that I use every single day for hours a day that you probably do too, and that is Spotify. So Spotify could totally have the choice of just being a bland music player because the music itself is really interesting. But think about one of their core values, which is to be playful. Every year at the end of the year, you see Spotify everywhere. And that's because they've let that value of being being playful out through their Spotify Wrapped journey, where they have a deep understanding that us as consumers, we love our music, we love what that says about us, and it creates our identity, and we obviously want to share that. And so every year in December, when you scroll through your Spotify Wrapped, you're seeing their joy and their desire to help you play come through. And then you're like, holy crap, I as the customer feel so much emotion about this. I'm actually gonna share that, which for Spotify as a product and a business leads to millions of free marketing impressions every single year. Spotify Wrapped will go down as one of the most clever product mechanics of all time, because the best products in the world are not the corporate bland experiences, but the products that make us feel something. And that requires you to express yourself as a human. So with all that being said, Heewon and I actually need to go start cooking now, but all of these design principles that I share with you are things that I've just randomly picked up through trial and error along the journey. And so if you don't want to miss any of the other insights that I have from trying to build a $1 billion company, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you next week.